Rockstar Games has taken us on some wonderful adventures through the 1980s, the 1990s, the 1890s, but what about the 1390s? Indeed, according to a potential leak that has been making the rounds over the last couple of days, it sounds like a new Rockstar open world game that takes place during the medieval period may actually be in the cards. Today, we'll take a look at the leaks that are causing all this buzz, some hints that Rockstar themselves have provided to us in their games, how plausible a new Rockstar IP like this is at this point in time, and of course, I give my overall thoughts on what a Rockstar game in the Middle Ages could potentially look like. Let's not waste any more time and get right into it. This newest round of speculation all stems from a classic LinkedIn leak. While the idea of a potential medieval-themed Rockstar game has been floating around for a while now, it was just a few days ago that this was found on Rockstar character artist Pauus Saxena's LinkedIn profile. Under a section titled TBA IP, Saxena writes that he worked as a prop/environment artist, creating game-ready models from scratch for props that may be crucial for gameplay, and creating modular environment pieces with organic finish carefully following medieval architecture style. Now, upon first glance, my brain immediately came to the following conclusion. This is probably just a low-key way of adding the work you've done on GTA 6 to your LinkedIn profile without just coming out and saying, yeah, I'm working on GTA 6. I mean, surely that's the next big project for Rockstar and all hands are on deck trying to get it done. How could there possibly be an entire other game in the works right now at Rockstar? Like, I'm sure there's a building or two in GTA 6 that takes inspiration from the quote-unquote medieval architecture style. That doesn't necessarily mean that Rockstar is working on an entirely separate project that takes place during medieval times. However, after this post blew up online, Saxena edited these lines about the TBA IP out of his LinkedIn profile, and that's when I really started to question myself. The first thing that came to mind was a post from Reset Era made back in April of 2019. Long before this current round of speculation began, Ash735, a former Rockstar employee, posted this. There was a new IP planned to be released between Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA Next. It was known internally as Project Medieval. Though apart from the outline design and some pre-production, not more is known about it, especially since the whole fallout at Rockstar North in 2014. Ash is a proven, reliable source, so I trust that at least at some point, Project Medieval was a real thing. Or possibly, it is still a real thing. Now, all these leaks are fun to look at and speculate about, but to me, the number one reason I'm giving this rumor any time of the day is because of this exchange between Jack and John Marston in Red Dead Redemption 2.
That what you like then? Western tales? Boy,
What's that, sir?
do you enjoy tales of the Wild West?
Not so much. Anymore. I've been reading about knights. You know, of the Round Table.
The king. What's his name?
There's King Arthur, and there's Sir Lancelot, and the Lady Guinevere, and a whole lot of others.
Those names.
I kinda like them.
You know what? So do I.
When I first played through that mission in Red Dead Redemption 2, that little exchange really stood out to me for some reason. It felt particularly meta. Jack was essentially moving on from the Western genre as a whole. And in typical Rockstar fashion, this line is timed wonderfully, coming near the end of one of the greatest Western stories ever told in Red Dead Redemption 2. Basically, Jack is over those boomer-ass Western stories, and now he's all about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Now, I'm not completely caught up on my Arthurian literature, but a Rockstar game featuring a bunch of knights, Excalibur, finding the Holy Grail, and a main character named Arthur pretty much sounds like the greatest thing ever made. All that said, it's pretty easy to write this all off as simple back and forth dialogue between father and son. In reality, Arthurian literature experienced a major resurgence in popularity during the 19th century, so it makes sense that Jack would be interested in these stories. Ultimately, I wrote it off as a cute little exchange between an old-timey father and his quickly growing son, and in a meta sense, it was just Rockstar having a bit of fun with the player. But now, with all these rumors flying around, I'm kinda second-guessing myself. Could it be possible that Rockstar was giving us a little hint here? Are they shelving the Western genre, and thus the entire Red Dead Redemption franchise for the time being, and beginning work on a game that takes place in the medieval period? No, come on. There's no way. GTA 5 is one of the best-selling games of all time, and at this point, we've gone an entire console generation without a follow-up. It would be insane to try and fit another massive scale project in there between Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 6. Now, keep in mind that GTA 5 does continue to perform ridiculously well month after month. It's been over 6 years since its initial release, but through the various enhanced editions and content updates for GTA Online, it has remained fresh and extremely popular. But with the next generation of consoles on the horizon, just less than a year away, the time is now for GTA 6 to make its grand debut, right? But then why would Jack say those lines? My brain is going in circles here, but for now, let's assume that line in Red Dead Redemption 2 was in fact a tease of what is to come from Rockstar Games. I immediately have to ask, how could Rockstar possibly put off the release of GTA 6 for even longer to develop another huge project like this? The most obvious scenario where a game like this becomes a reality, a scenario where Take-Two says, sure, we'll put off the follow-up to GTA 5 for another 5 years. That scenario is a pretty simple one. It would simply be a favor to keep Rockstar happy. With GTA 5 continuing to perform like it does month after month, there's no real desperate need to release a GTA 6 right at this very second. Instead, greenlighting a passion project like this keeps Rockstar as a whole engaged and driven, and prevents potential fatigue that could set in from pumping out GTAs and Red Deads for the rest of time. A new IP can't hurt Take-Two's portfolio either. A similar situation actually came about in 2008. Chris Nolan, hot off writing and directing The Dark Knight, went to Warner Brothers and asked if he could make an entirely different movie before moving on to the follow-up to Dark Knight. That movie was Inception, a passion project Nolan had in mind since at least 2002. To keep their hottest director happy, Warner Bros. Greenlit Inception and allowed Nolan to complete the film before moving on to work on The Dark Knight Rises. It was obvious that Inception would not make as much money at the box office as The Dark Knight or the forthcoming Dark Knight Rises, but ultimately Inception did extremely well at the box office by any other standard. Warner Bros. Successfully kept one of their most prized creators engaged creatively, and even publicly came out and admitted that a project like Inception, a film that wasn't a part of a huge franchise, could succeed off the strength of the overall Chris Nolan brand. Now, does all of that sound familiar to you? This entire situation, to me at least, could apply to Rockstar Games and this potential medieval new IP. Perhaps the Hauser brothers really want to make a game that takes place during this time period. After everything those dudes have done for this company, after the billions and billions of dollars their stories have generated, Take-Two would be real jerks to deny them on a passion project like this. Given their track record and the overall strength of the Rockstar Games brand, odds are good that this new IP would be a massive success. And then suddenly you have 3 online games generating billions of dollars through that sweet, sweet microtransaction money. The fans are happy, Rockstar is happy, and the shareholders are happy. The point is this: we all want GTA 6, but GTA 5 is still going strong and making tons of money. If Rockstar really wants to put out an entirely new game like this before finishing work on GTA 6, I really hope it ends up being made. Hopefully they've gained the respect at this point to do whatever the hell they want, whenever the hell they want to do it. In the end, we'll be getting a great game no matter what. So with some of the logistics out of the way, again, let's say this does actually happen. What does a Rockstar game that takes place in medieval times look like? And what does it play like? Well, assuming this concept gets the full AAA open world treatment we all expect from Rockstar, it would definitely be covering some new ground for the developer. First of all, there is no America in the Middle Ages, so the writers, who almost always satirized American culture up to this point, would have whole new ground to cover, potentially in a European setting before the year 1600. Next up, while we do have some concepts that would translate from Red Dead to the medieval period, like horseback riding, the use of a bow, and the hunting system, just to name a few, this would still be the first Rockstar open world game without any guns whatsoever. I think bows feel pretty damn good to use in Red Dead Redemption 2, and would probably feel even better in titles going forward. But outside of the bow, the overall combat system would probably have to be massively overhauled compared to what we're used to in both Red Dead and GTA. I think it's safe to say we'd probably be looking at more of a melee-based focus for the game's combat system, with no shortage of swords and shields available to use. And when it comes to video games with a medieval-like setting and a focus on sword and shield-based combat, well, obviously there is no shortage of those. In fact, some of the greatest games ever made were born from the very concept. Dark Souls has basically figured out and perfected sword and shield combat, and From Software's various worlds are meticulously designed, jam-packed with secrets, and just oozing with atmosphere. The Legend of Zelda has found success simplifying sword and shield combat for mass audiences, and when it comes to critical reception, Zelda is one of the few franchises in the same league as Rockstar's open world titles. Finally, we have to look at Rockstar's true open world peer, CD Projekt Red. I've already seen tons and tons of comparisons made between CDPR and Rockstar, and it makes sense because the two devs are second to none when it comes to packing their open worlds with fun and engaging content. There is a clear GTA influence on the upcoming Cyberpunk 2077, and you better believe if a Rockstar medieval game ever does come to fruition, comparisons would be made to The Witcher 3, which takes place in the year 1272. There is no doubt that when it comes to crafting a world and its various gameplay systems, Rockstar can stand on the shoulders of these giants as they create their own medieval title. Then, of course, we could get into the various movies or TV shows that also share a similar setting. Much like how Rockstar takes influence from a number of movies or TV shows when creating a new GTA or Red Dead game, there's no doubt we'd see influence from some of the all-time classic medieval and fantasy works. In fact, it's probably thanks in part to the smashing mainstream success of Game of Thrones that Rockstar decided to go through with a project like this at all. Game of Thrones was proof that a gruesomely violent and sex-filled story taking place during this time period could connect with the masses in a big, big way. I'm sure Rockstar, with a new open world project, would expect no less than complete mainstream penetration, like Red Dead and GTA before it. While medieval and fantasy settings have proven popular in the past, it's now, thanks to Game of Thrones, that the setting arguably may be more attractive to audiences than it's ever been before. So in summary, I think it's clear that the world is ready for a game like this out of Rockstar. It feels like the genre overall has undergone a resurgence over the last decade, and it doesn't look to be slowing down anytime soon. Even though there are plenty of fantasy-based games out there right now that have found huge success, I absolutely believe there is room for another one, and I'm eager to see how Rockstar would shake up the formula that has been established by titles like Zelda, Dark Souls, and The Witcher. In the end, the patented Rockstar Games ingredients will always be there. That polished game design and attention to detail will always allow their games to stand out from the pack. The world building, storytelling, character development, art direction, voice acting, music, these are all important qualities of Rockstar games that, in my mind, they do better than damn near anyone else in the industry. For those reasons alone, I would like to see a Rockstar open world game take place in the medieval period. I'm sure they'd have a great story to tell with interesting and engaging main characters and a massive open world filled to the brim with stuff to do, along with the art direction and graphical prowess to go along with it. But remember, for now, it is just a rumor. And that's gonna wrap it up for today. All in all, I would be incredibly interested in a new Rockstar open world IP that goes in a direction entirely different from both Red Dead and GTA, while also retaining some of the qualities of Rockstar games that we all know and love. But now I want to hear from you. Would you like to see a game like this as Rockstar's debut on the next generation consoles? Or did this entire video just make your blood boil at the very suggestion that GTA 6 could still be well over 5 years away? Let me know in the comments below. No matter where Rockstar goes next, I believe their next big move will be an exciting one, and the next generation of games is already sounding like it's going to be a crazy ride. But that's going to do it for today, so until next time, thanks so much for watching everyone, and take care.